Hello, lovely people. Let's talk heartbreak and witchcraft, shall we? And I recently have gotten my heart broken. And let me tell you, when you are a witch and you get your heart broken, thoughts become interesting for a minute, don't they? I always give, if you're going through heartbreak right now and you're looking for tips and tricks or whatever, give the first week or 2 weeks just to feel horrible and know that you're just looking for distractions. And I understand distractions are hard because no matter what, your brain wants to go back, right? It wants to ruminate on the issue, on the wondering, will they come back? Especially if you're the one who was dumped like I recently was, which is unfortunate. And again, I say 2 weeks very loosely because for me, that is the time when I can stop walking as a ghost through the world, usually. That's usually about the times when I'm like, okay, I've come to terms with the idea that they're not reaching out. There's just not going to be an immediate fix. This wasn't a reactive, nonsensical thing. They're sticking to their guns for whatever reason, and therefore we must move forward. The problem with that as a witch is how. Now, I'm definitely a person who uses fire to fix my issues. So were there some spells of cord cuttings, of banishments, of other particular things? Did we think maybe at some point we wanted to make a little puppet and have a little fun with it? Perchance. Did we resist the urge though? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. It took a minute to resist the urge. It was a little difficult at times. Did I research every weird folky way and non-folky and Wiccan and whatever path I could find to do things after a breakup? Energetically? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Did I enact any of those that weren't of my own design from things I've done before? No, I did not. No, I did not. But researching, it helps. Sometimes having that thing in the back of your pocket of like, I'm gonna do a hex, I'm gonna do a curse, I'm gonna do a little something because fuck this. Do you agree? Come join the video then. You meowed. Say hello. Sometimes just knowing you have tools like that to enact things in your back pocket are great to have. I have gone through some bad breakups. Wasn't a witch back then when I was going through them, but this breakup is less of, oh my god, I hate his guts. Is more of just, it didn't work out and that's really fucking sad, and we'll move on with our lives onto bigger and better things that are more capable of participating in something that you actually want to grow, as opposed to not. You participate, even if it's just snuggling. So after I sat and felt my freaking hurt and embarrassment and heartbreak overall, especially when you're like, holy fuck, I'm falling in love with this person, and knowing that you were in love with someone and realizing that it wasn't returned in the slightest is really fucking heartbreaking. But in realizing like that's the biggest crime that happened, you can't fault someone for that, I think. And so I let myself have the processing time, right? Then you start looking up other things. You look it up, ways to turn, I guess, the emotions off, stop the memories, stop the dreams. I started keeping a dream journal to banish the dreams. And by that I mean I would write down the dreams after I had them, burn them, and then flush them down the toilet because I was done. I didn't understand. I was like, obviously this is not a resolvable thing. There's no reason to keep having weird dreams that end up with me being anxious or angry or heartbroken all over again. And yet, I kept having them. So, dream journal to then banish, somewhat helpful. I also allowed myself to do as much divination as I freaking wanted. I think that's something that we sometimes shame each other about. You know, when you keep going back to the tarot or keep going back to your runes or your pendulum or whatever you use again and again and again for the same questions, especially in regards to romantic partners. Will they like me? Will they come back? Will I ever find love? Yada, 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 yada. When I'm going through heartbreak, and this last time, I remember guilting myself a lot. I got really, really into, for me, because I needed that instant access, especially when I was like feeling the urge to break no contact. Do you want down? No, we're still purring. Okay. And resisting that urge is hard, especially when you're like, you have to be on your phone for whatever reason. I have to be on my phone for work. I manage social media for several different things. So I have to be on my phone. There's no way I can just like throw it in a drawer and pretend it doesn't exist, unfortunately. So in order to do that, I got a Magic 8-Ball app on my damn phone, and every time I had a question or felt the urge to text, I would change whatever I wanted to text or say and put it into the free Ask the 8-Ball and just kept hitting and got my answers that I wanted, didn't want. I pulled as much tarot as I wanted about it, even as it broke my heart over and over again with new journeys and endings and, you know, pulling the devil of like toxic things to release, and over and over it was telling me that this breakup was for the best, that this was good. Also, it happened, of all things, during the Libra eclipses, which was a time of great endings, getting out of your South Node nonsense, this learning lessons of moving on, leaving stuff in the past. But the fact that the universe was screaming at it from the freaking cosmos, like, hey, if you're going through anything, especially in relationships, these are the endings that you needed. And I was like, fuck, okay, fine. I don't like it. I'm hoping it's not right. And I let myself be feisty and mad and angry. I let myself cower. I let myself cry in bed as I hit my Magic 8 Ball app over and over and over again. And I let myself pull tarot over and over and over again. And let myself use all those tools to exhaustion. Sometimes you just need to get it out. Sometimes you know it's a phase and you know you eventually will move on. But until that happens, you let yourself have the damn things. And then you let yourself put a name in a freezer because you freaking want to. Also with witchcraft and heartbreak, I think the fun thing, if you're a pagan witch or anyone who believes in any sort of love entities or goddess or gods of any kind, I think going to them in a astral altar sense, in mourning, going into the astral altar and like laying at the feet of Aphrodite, marveling in its love's power to change our lives and feel so important and feel that hurt, because that hurt is a remembrance of the power of how amazing it could be. I had feeding whispers of her saying things like, just, you know, if this is just a taste, I can own, you know, I can cause love out, this is my power, this is my ability, this pain you feel is a fraction of what you could feel. Like that, marvel at that. And also, like, it put me back into the awe of love and how truly life-changing and world-spinning it is. Like, the world did stop spinning for a little bit. Life did lose all its meaning for a short moment, and then reminding myself, I'm like, oh, if this is just a taste, what else is out there? What could I possibly find that is 10 times better, 10 times more fulfilling, more empowering, and eventually more hurtful? Because unfortunately we do lose our loved ones one way or another, whether it is through relationships just having to part ways in this life to, you know, I mean, honestly, the golden opportunity is till death do you part, until you see each other in the next life. So I'm like, I will feel worse hurt than this again. In that way, it kind of felt a bit of like, okay, these are training wheels. Even if I'm mad and spiteful about it and angry and hurt and feel all the ego things, it was nice to remember it's like, okay, I can go to this astral altar and I can scream and yell and cry and feel utterly heartbroken and have that moment where it's like, it feels like the entire world has gone gray. It has been robbed of all meaning and color and things that are good and happy. And that's because I cared and I loved, and it was suddenly taken, and now I have to learn again why I love myself and honor myself and treasure myself. After marveling at love's power, I started researching different love spells. I started researching curses and hexes affiliated, as I did earlier, but also it's like the history of this. Also, again, lifted the guilt off myself for feeling so much about something. There's this idea of like being stoic, right? Moving on. And then when you're like a spiritual cosmetic being, it feels like, oh, these small things of like money, love, which is funny to say that. Small things like, you know, money, the thing we actually operate our society around. Love, the thing, you know, that sometimes makes life worth living. Are considered small, but they seem like frivolous to us for some reason. Like we should have some higher, greater purpose that is like devoid of these emotions and things that we need. And the fact of the matter is, these are the very things that have been making the world spin and make people feel worthy for so freaking long. It makes life worth living for thousands and thousands of years since humanity's existence. And it also makes me think of soulmates. It's hard when, as a spiritual person, as a witch who believes in soulmates, who believes in multiple lives, when you feel business being unfinished with a person and recognizing they might not be the partner that you lived multiple lives with and you have been looking for them, but you did live some lives with them and you did enjoy and connect with them and feel a connection beyond anything else you've ever felt so far in this life. even if it didn't quite line up entirely, it was so close. And I think recognizing and, again, not judging myself for understanding, I did believe and still do that my last relationship was one of a soul bond. I don't know if we'll meet again. Part of me gets angry and doesn't want to. Part of me wants to be like, you rejected me in this life, then F you and all the others. You know? Run along. You don't get any more of my energy. Fuck all the way off. And while I definitely have done the banishment level in this life, it's like, no, we're done. There's no interactions that are needed. But I can't help but shake the feeling of there could be something else. Maybe we were supposed to be some form of friend or sibling or a different structure. In another life we can explore that and learn more from each other in a better mode. Because he's not the main one that I'm looking for. I can tell there's pieces missing. There are things that I clocked regularly and I was like, is this just another thing to learn? Is there something else I need to be revealed, or is it clear that this is not my person? And looking back at now, it's like, no, those were all signs. Those were all your gut telling you that this wasn't it. It was so close, but not quite right. And you need that Goldilocks standard, don't you? You need that, oh yes, this is what I wanted. And it's interesting how when something can see, it's just not as hard as it has been previously. You're like, oh, this is what eases. It's like, no, it should be even easier, even more communicative. Not to say, of course, I'm assuming relationships should have struggles a little bit. You know, there's gonna be, you're two different people. There's gonna be clashes at times as you build a thing and as you're collaborating together with a thing. But when major things come up, when things time and time again become barriers, and especially when you look back at all the things and gods, what was so hard about this one was I can't think of a single thing I would have done differently. It's just that we weren't compatible, and that is what's so fucking hard at times. That's what makes you want to yell at the gods, yell at the universe, yell at your cards, yell at freaking everything and start throwing magic willy-nilly in a high passion state, right? When it almost doesn't make sense, when there wasn't something that you could control. And it's like, no, I would have done probably everything the same. I would have did every bit for connection. I would have still done maybe what is considered minor missteps because I learned from those. And those minor missteps were things that to me were minor. It's hard when you realize that you wouldn't have done anything differently. That exactly how you operated is how you would operate again in the future. It's just that if you operate the exact same, but just maybe with a slightly different person who was a better match for you, they wouldn't have been detrimental actions. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Single as all hell, but whatever. Rather be alone and happy with myself than with someone who ultimately wasn't going to make me happy, regardless of how much love I had for him. Onward and upward. Comment down below. How do you do with heartbreak when you're a witch? Are you throwing curses, hexes left and right? Are you breaking out the threads and the needles and making puppets? Are we putting people in the freezer? Cord cuttings abound. What are we doing? What helped you get through things? And also maybe what helped you get ready to date again, because I'm very much at that point where am I ready? Do I want to be ready? Do I want to entertain a partner at all? Or am I very much like, meh, I could be alone again for a while. So anyway, I'm Sam, this is Shadow Harvest. This is a little wonderful video about that. Welcome back. There will be new videos. I figure maybe I'll share some of the history of love spells that I can find in the next video, along with maybe a little history of Aphrodite. Been loving researching into that as I've been going through this nonsense, and anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. I clearly need to go do a little bit of meditation and pull some more tarot. This time about a new job, because I definitely need one of those as well. So, we're just all the new things this year, 2024. Let's go. See you next one.